We are live. Hello, everybody. We are here with our special guest,
Who
Terry.
are we?
We are Heather and Priscilla.
In the Crone Zone,
Oh,
conversation with the ancients.
See, I don't do this.
It's all right. It's all
she
right.
can do that. Okay. So anyway, we're here with our special guest, and that's Terry. And I learned your last name again today, so I don't remember. I just always know you as Terry, but Terry Suzuki, and she is. If you want to get a hold of her, uh, from Kigaru spiritualjourneys.com. And if you want to talk, get a hold of her in Gmail, it's kugarutarot@gmail.com. So,
welcome,
actually,
Terry.
it's pronounced Kigaru.
Kigaru.
And it's a Japanese word.
And it means,
yeah, and it means lighthearted. Lighthearted.
Well, I think that fits you.
Yeah.
I think that fits you really well.
It does. You
that's
have
cool.
That lightness for you. Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody knows Priscilla. You want to say hi?
Hi, everybody.
She's a crone.
How are you doing?
We're all crones.
I am a crone.
I am a crone.
I'm a proud one of that. Yeah.
And so,
let's say everybody in the chat room.
All one of you. Thank you.
Oh, one of you. There's another one. Hi, Jan. We got to give them a few minutes to get in.
So we'll just talk.
That's Epiphany. That's Epiphany. Hi, Epiphany. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And Miss Ruth is here. Fantastic. So 3 to 3 is not bad.
Just join the conversation if you want to.
Yeah. Well, since we have time and not that many people, I could tell you what. So I chose Kigaru because it seemed like all the English words were taken and I wasn't as clever as like Jean. And so I thought, okay, I'll do the Kigaru. And I liked it because it was short. It was something people could say, you know, they could have, it was pronounceable and everything.
It certainly caught my attention when I first saw it. I thought it was Australian or, you know, Aborigine or something like that when I first heard it.
I felt it was Oriental.
Well, so what people should know is that the Japanese language is syllabaric. So in other words, they don't have A, B, they don't have single letters. They have syllables. C, you know, K-A, K-I, you know.
That's kind of neat.
And so if you notice, my last name has a ki in it, Suzuki. There's a ki at the end. But my ki means old soldier.
Oh.
And one day my husband was sitting in the dining room kind of talking across to the living room at me, very far apart. He's like, "Did you mean to do it?" And I'm like, do what? Because I'm thinking, geez,
what have I done now?
Yeah. And he's like, "Did you mean to choose your name the way you did?" And I'm like, well, I did choose it because people could probably pronounce it. It's kind of easy. And he goes, "No, did you choose the cleverness?" And I'm like, "What's clever about it? I don't know what's clever about it." And he said, "Terry, the ki in Kigaru, the lightheartedness, is the same ki as in Reiki. So it means lighthearted healing, lightheartedness. The same ki."
That's beautiful.
That's cool.
I know. I told him no, and then he was, yeah.
I told him no, and your higher self chose that name, and they knew what, and she knew what you were talking about.
Right.
But now he doesn't think I'm.
Yes, you did mean to do that.
Yeah, now he doesn't think I'm clever at all. But
well, you are as your higher self. What do you want?
Oh, look, we've got a lot of people showing up. Sharon Sive. Oh my goodness! Hi, Deb McCain, Carolyn, Ruth, everybody. Thank you all for joining us.
So we wanted a little history on you. Tell us a little bit about you and how you started, and some of the things that happened that made you decide to pursue being a medium.
Okay. Well, I've actually had a lot of these gifts all of my life. I remember as a kid seeing angels by my bedside at night. I talk to them, hang out. But I didn't tell anybody because I thought I am the normalest kid in the world. This must happen to everybody. So I didn't mention it.
Yeah, I had the same experience, except not angels.
I'm like,
They're ghosts.
and a lot of times I'd have prophetic dreams as a kid. I mean, just kid dreams, like something that might happen at the school after school or school, and then I'd have to try to remember, like, what happened in the dream, and how can I change this when it happened, or you
Right.
know. Um, I I also, before I ever got into this, did the angel Gabriel's hair once because I became a hairdresser. Uh,
Cool.
I belong to a big hairdressing family. Everybody's a big hairdresser, and I have 2 learning disabilities, and when it was time to talk to my very first client, I was terrified. Like, what am I going to say? What are we going to do? I really was out of my head with fear a little bit, and I don't know why now I was so scared, but I was so scared. And then the day that it happened, I was at the beauty school that my dad used to own this beauty school. Like I said, we're kind of a hairdressing dynasty. And I it was just this cutest little old lady, just the cutest little old lady, and I set her down, and we just talked and talked and talked and talked. I don't even know what I was worried about. When I took her up front, I was like, "Thank you for being my first customer. This is so good." I told her that after she had paid, and then kinda showed her to the door, and as she was going out the door, turning the corner to the parking lot, I just saw the tail end of her coat, and somehow I just had this it just slammed into me. That was an angel. And I
Wow.
ran out around the door, and nobody was there. There were like 2 cars in the parking lot, but I mean, when I looked down the block, she couldn't have walked away. There was not enough
Wow.
time.
That's
She
an
couldn't have
amazing
gotten in the
experience.
yeah, couldn't get in the cars. I even went around the car like the angel might be crouching back there,
Well,
you
you
know?
would, wouldn't you? Wow,
But
that's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll pick up the end of that story when I tell you how I got these things together because how did so I knew it was an angel, but I'll tell you later how I knew who it was later.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would be very
Well,
interested
Yeah.
to see that.
So
That's
so
awesome.
so things like that happened. Um, of my 2 learning disabilities, the one that I have that seems to be featured heavily in all this is I have synesthesia, which is actually something that often happens to people. Either they might have it, but they might pick it up if they've had a near-death experience,
Hmm.
but I've had synesthesia all my life, and it's where that things can be associated differently, but for me, it happens in a number line. I see the number line in my head, and when I was a kid, it moved, it changed shapes, it did things,
Oh,
and
wow.
and now that number line holds still because I have it's too long of a story, but I've kind of fixed that part. But what
Right.
it doesn't hold still is when I'm reading past lives, it still is very useful. The synesthesia number line is very useful for reading past lives.
Interesting.
Yeah. And now I'm starting to read the future. So
I
Wow.
would say more. It's not a learning disability. It's a gift.
it is a gift, but it's
Mhm.
it's one of those ones where I think people can't decide what it actually is.
I
And
think
what do you do with it?
I really think there's a lot of young people that are going through stuff like that right now. Our young starseeds, they're
Mhm.
trying to put them in all kinds of little boxes that
Right.
they're just not really fitting into that box
They
because
don't
there's
fit
not
any
really
box.
anything wrong with them. They have gifts.
Right. Right.
It's
I
kind of
I
frightening to see it.
yeah. I would completely consider it a spiritual gift, not a learning disability, although it's probably in the doctor's books that that's what that
Oh,
is,
I'm
but
sure it is. I'm
yeah,
sure it
but
is.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Pretty
It's
sure.
I
I
know
think
that
you're
it's
right.
not in an educational book because I dealt with education and learning disabilities in education, and I've never heard of that. Not that it doesn't exist, it does, but it's not one that they said you qualify for.
Right. It's a newish one. They've only known about it for about 10 to 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I've never been diagnosed. I just knew when they described it, I'm like, that's me.
That's you. Yeah.
You
But
know?
you've overcome it, so that's great. And
Learned how to use it.
Learned how to use it.
I make it work for me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That was loud.
We have thunder.
Oh, I didn't.
Could you all hear that?
I didn't hear it, but
that's okay.
Good.
We can.
So,
moving furniture upstairs.
So yeah. I don't actually remember any particular gifts, other things happening as a child, really, other than my dad chasing me down the hall in my dreams, and he was trying to keep me here rather than spank me like I thought. So I was astral traveling when I was little. But I woke up seeing aliens in our room. I shared a room with my little sister, but I just thought it was a dream. And now I know it wasn't just a dream, but I would wake up seeing little people.
And I would wake up and see the lady that owned the house before. She was in there just checking on me, making sure I'm okay.
Wow.
You know, I would, but you know, I was like you. I just figured I'm just normal. Everybody does this.
Yeah, we all think we're just normal at whatever it is. Yeah. I was pretty much normal. I don't remember anything strange, really. But I was always interested in the strange and unusual. I'm a Scorpio. You know, we're all about death and the strange mysteries and all that.
Well, keep going with your story. It's fascinating.
Well, so, you know, I just went about life like normal. I think I was a hard child sometimes for my mom to raise because she was Catholic, had went to a Catholic school. And I also think now that I've kind of thought back, I think I have pre-birth memories because she would say things to me like at 5 years old, you know, if you do that, you know, you're going to be sinning, you might go to hell or you might, you know, and I'd look at her like, no, that's not the God I know. No, that's not who I knew. Nope, that ain't going to happen. And just walk off. And I'm sure she just like was like, what am I going to do with this kid? Who completely somehow knew the religion already, which I didn't. But I mean, I'm like, that doesn't sound like the God I knew. Nope, sorry.
You knew what you knew, and that was it.
We were Episcopalian, and you would be down in the Sunday school classes, and it was all about Jesus and love and peace and all that. And as soon as you went up to the big church, it was all about hellfire and damnation. It was like, I'm going back downstairs. I like it better down there.
Well, I never, you know, some people wonder how did I live with Catholicism till age 18, but it was because what my mom didn't know at the time, and she would have had a fit if she knew. I was actually taught by every Wednesday night by a bunch of radical nuns, and all they taught me about was equity and, you know, justice and what Martin Luther King did for us now, not the old Martin Luther King. And, you know, and so I know absolutely nothing about the Catholic Church, nothing at all. I went to communion and faked it. I went to, you know, you have to go confess your sins. I had to go make them up. I faked that. I'm sure the priest probably had to laugh because I probably made the worst, you know, sins that a little kid couldn't even do. But, you know,
yeah,
I knew nothing. But that probably was a good thing. And then fast forward after I was a hairdresser for a long time, had a couple shops, and then I got divorced, and I decided to go back to college because my dad always said, you know, I'll put you through beauty school, you know, so you can go to college and do something else if you want to someday, but you can make money in the meantime. And so I did that, and so I went to college and got a couple degrees and started working at nonprofits because I had a mission. I felt like I had a personal mission. So I could only do that at nonprofits rather than at a profit business that might pay me well. But
And
so
what was
I
the
did
mission?
what?
What was the mission?
So my mission was to help people get out of poverty. That was my personal mission.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I was able to do that through nonprofits, help people get the funding they needed for education to either learn uh, through uh, learning how to do something either like kind of like apprenticeship type
Hmm.
things, or through college, or through uh, you know working for various it just whatever way that would help people get
Right.
employment. And so I
Lovely.
found nonprofits that would do that. So just before, about 2 years before COVID hit, I had found myself unemployed because that they decided we had a new leader where I was working, and they decided to retool
Organized.
everything. Yeah. And so I thought, it takes me a long time to get a job, and I didn't want to sit around. So I took a job writing grants for a little nonprofit that does uh, um, physical therapy on horseback for kids and
Cool.
adults with disabilities. And
I
it
love
was a
that.
lovely, lovely place to work. I really enjoyed it. And, spirit set me up. Oh my God, did they set me up?
They always do.
So I actually was a good grant getter, maybe not such a good grant writer, but I was a good grant getter. I didn't realize I was using my psychic abilities to know which ones are going to pay off. So don't only put your effort towards the ones that pay off. And in grant land, if you get like a 25% win rate, you're like golden. I had a 48% win rate.
Wow.
Yes, you were using your abilities quite well,
Yeah,
weren't you?
I was, but I didn't really know I was doing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I recognize it now, and I knew I was doing something, but I
Hmm.
didn't really know what it was. And so here's how they set me up. So they sent us home for COVID, and I still had to work because I could do that from home. I could write grants from home, no big deal. And around August, they said, Terry, we can't invite anybody on campus for, summer horse camp that we normally do. Would you please lead virtual summer horse camp? And of course,
Okay.
I'm that kind of person, like, oh yeah, yeah, me, Um, so I led a month of virtual summer horse camp for a variety between ages 5 to probably about 30. I'm going
Oh,
to call them all kids because they all were very kid-like, at all different levels of communication, ability to read and write, ability to participate. And I feel like for one whole month, so I had to do it on Zoom, and I had to figure out the tech part of it myself because
right.
they didn't have any time. They gave me all the lessons, but I soon learned I had to augment them. I had a lot of time on my hands, and so I had to kind of learn all this stuff. And their Wi-Fi was spotty, so I finally learned I could turn my phone into a hotspot, put it in my back pocket, and then walk around with my iPad and hold class anywhere on the stables, anywhere.
That's great.
Yeah, and you know, after walking the whole property and having to record myself, like, can you see me now? Can you see me now? I eventually got over that. Do I look good on camera? What about the waddly neck? I mean, I like got over that.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And then I felt like what I was doing the whole month was channeling my grandma Carol. So my grandma Carol, I also call her my horse grandma because she lived out on the Indian reservation. We always had horses. In fact, at one point in her life, she said, I'm too old to take care of kids. So she just bought us a herd of ponies, and we just marauded the countryside on
Oh,
horseback.
fun.
It was fun.
Oh, I bet
So,
that was.
yeah. So I felt
We're
like
both
I was,
horse girls too.
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Well, and she had so many good lessons. She was such a, she wasn't religious. She believed the outdoors was her church, and you know, really wanted you to treat people well, and that way she taught me a lot about that. So I felt like I was teaching that to these kids,
Beautiful.
and I loved it. Oh my God, it was so much fun. It was just wonderful. And then it was done, and then I'm kind of like, think it started things going on in the head, and
Hey, Terry, go here. Go
they're like,
here.
Terry, wow, maybe you could sell Grandma Carol's Zoom, because what happened is I soon learned how to be present with these kids. Like, I needed to log in early, and they would be eating their breakfast. They would be highly resistant to their parents feeding them, or they're like, I don't have to eat. I don't, or I'm not going to take a shower. I'm not going to. But after a while, if Terry's saying, oh my, Laura, your purple shirt matches your purple scrunchie. How pretty. What are you eating today? They were very nice looking. They all were taking showers all month, and operating and eating, and eating their
That's
pancakes.
brilliant.
It was so much fun. I thought, I probably could sell that. um, and a lot of things occurred to me that I could do, but I knew it wasn't quite ready. At the same time, now I am a hard worker. I just want to beat my head against that computer and work till I drop. But I couldn't. After I went home, man, I could not work. All I wanted to do was watch NDE stories on YouTube, because near death stories just call to me. It's just like, oh, that's home. I want to go home. And it just calls to me so much. And I would like,
I don't
I
think
still,
I've ever watched, but maybe one.
oh,
We may have to look at more.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
anybody else in the chat room? Are you guys into NDE stories? Because Scott sent me a link and we watched that one. An NDE. It was
Right.
like an NDE channel on YouTube. A whole
Yeah,
channel. That's all they did.
Yeah, there's IANS, which is, I don't know what it all stands for, but it's a society of people who have experienced NDEs, and
Right.
they they record them, they research them, they do a lot of things, and
That may have been what this was.
yeah, my dad believed strongly in them, and uh, even back then in the 80s when he was suddenly drawn to them himself. I was also just drawn to them, just like that. That sounds right. That makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
And so I found
Interesting.
myself doing that, and I found myself drawn to just all this spiritual stuff, and it's such a cacophony of how I got here. It's kind of crazy, but a couple years before that, I could always hear my guides, but I didn't know that you had guides or anything. I thought maybe it's my conscious or something. And they one time I saw this event near my house, and it was tea and tarot. And I'm
Oh,
like,
cool.
well, wow. Yeah, I'm not going to that. That's of the devil, you know. And that's what my mom would have said, and I'm like, and then my guide said, "Oh yeah, you're going. You're
Oh
going."
yeah, you're going.
And so I paid
Cool.
my fee online. And even the day of, and I went there and I sat in the parking lot a long time. I'm like, why am I doing this? I can't go to that. That's just weird shit. I'm not going to that. And they're like, oh yeah, you are. And so finally I got
I
out of the
do
car
that.
and went in.
I know that message.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I went in. The lady did a 3-card reading on me that was fabulous, just lovely, lovely, loving. And So she asked me to ask a question, but to keep it inside. And my question was, why am I so disconnected spiritually? I used to hear my spirit guides, the same ones talking to me in the parking lot.
Right then.
I I'm just so disconnected. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. I used to have lots of dreams where I interacted with dead people, and I'm just like, how come I'm so disconnected? My mother had already died, and my mother is she's talking to me all the freaking time, and I'm like, shut up, Mom, I can't hear the spirits. And so I go there, the lady's reading me, and I'm like, oh, oh, oh. And she's like, honey, what's wrong? This is the nicest reading of the night. And I'm like, my mother's here. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, she's like, why is that a problem? And I said, because she's talking to me. She's talking. And she says, how is she talking? She's talking to me through the cards. And so she said, you read me these cards. I've never seen a tarot card in my life. And she's like, read me the cards. And I read her the cards, what my mom was saying to me. And she said, yep, that's what they say. And so then I realized, okay, something's going on here. So from
She's
that
quick.
experience, then that's when, after the Grandma Carol Zoom happened, I got read by Susan Lynn twice. And Susan Lynn kind of heard some of like what was going on. And she immediately was like, oh, it's like she was making a checklist out loud. Empathetic. And, you know, oh, psychic, check. Medium, check.
Right.
She's just like checking all the boxes. And she's like, okay, you know what? I think my guides are telling you to learn how to do this stuff. And so I I wanted to, but I was still working. And
Were you afraid at all?
I was a little bit afraid, but not too afraid.
When
After I
that devil
realized,
stuff your mom told you? The
right,
religious
because my
nonsense?
mom basically said through that reading, I made a mistake. It's not evil.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Oh,
That's helpful.
yay.
So I'm
Yay.
like, okay, but there's something going on here, something going on. And I started then, Susan also taught me how to talk to my guides. So I started talking to them, and I found out that I was responsible for turning them off. I'm a type 2 diabetic. And when you're having kind of low blood sugar or high blood sugar, it kind of feels like a spiritual event just a little bit.
I'm a
You,
type 1. I know exactly what you're
yeah,
talking
so
about.
you vibrate a little bit.
Yes.
And I, at one point, had said out loud, oh, I guess I'm not psychic. It must be diabetes. And it shut the gate.
Whoa.
That's why.
Mm.
But mom could get through. I think moms can always get through. And all I had to do was express remorse for that, take it back, and open the gate. And I did.
Cool.
And so basically, Susan said, you're going to learn all the basics, but then you're going to do it your way. You're going to do it how you do it. And then so about that spring.
That's a good teacher. That's super important for people to understand. When you open up to your gifts and you're getting training, that doesn't mean you have to do it their way the rest of your life. It always morphs into whatever you as a human need.
Yeah, it's
Right.
what
Hi, puppy.
Yeah.
you do it your way. Period.
So that's so true.
It's really important for teachers to do that.
Yeah.
Give the students the ability to grow and know that that's what you should do.
Right. And it reminded me also that as a kid, and even young adult, I used to always say, don't put God in a box. And it reminded me, yes, don't put God in a box. You can't say all mediums got to do it this way or all mediums got to do it that way, because God may have something completely different. And I can tell you that just from the time I've been on YouTube, it's changed with me. I know even Jean has talked about it, that how we get this has changed, and how we how we get the evidence has completely changed.
Oh, my gifts have too. I just phenomenally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, they're like muscles. The more you use them, the stronger they get.
Mm-hmm.
And it
And
does allow for morphing. My healing was reconnective healing in the way that their methodology.
mm-hmm.
Within a year, I was doing nothing like what I originally learned to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it continued to morph, and even more so when Heather and I started doing healing work together.
Yeah. How
So
neat.
everybody morphs and
Mm-hmm.
gets stronger the more
Everybody
we work
morphs.
with it.
Right.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So my guides had told me, they told me to quit my job, just like they did for Susan Lynn. They said, Terry, you're going to quit your job. And I'm like, what? What?
And why would I do that?
Okay, but no, I knew to believe them
Yeah.
because they had done some other things, said do this, and I'm like, okay, okay, and so I'm like, okay, I'll quit my job, but after this grant, after that grant, after this grant, because they really need this money. What I also didn't realize though is I had won so much money they could get rid of me, and they could. So I essentially got fired by my guides. So at in May, my boss came to me and said, we think we can do better than you. And how about you just stay on as this little researcher at almost 0 hours and help us find them, because obviously I was using my psychic abilities also to find them. And I'm like, nope, nope, gotta quit on that one. So I quit, and that gave me the time to take classes. So I started classes with Jean and Terry Lee and Joan, Wisdom Seeker Joan, all
Mhm.
and here in June of last year. So this is my anniversary this month.
Happy
Oh,
anniversary.
happy anniversary.
Fantastic. A year. Hasn't it just flown by?
Yes, it has flown by. It has blown my mind so many times.
Us too. We only started in February and it feels like that was yesterday. And
Right.
this is
Right.
And yet
almost July.
it's not only yesterday, it's forever been this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've only been on YouTube since December 2021. And that it already feels like forever on that too.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Feels like forever ago.
Yep. And it's just really, 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 really been interesting. All the
I
different
love the
teams.
friendships between the four of you. I don't know if there were others in the room, but particularly seeing the four of you together and working together.
It's cool.
You make great teams
Mhm.
too. I mean, you're just so in tune with each other. It's marvelous to watch.
Yep. And it's just, it's been so much fun, and they're such good people. Um,
Agreed.
so so this is where spirit set me up. That's why I had to do all that Zoom work so I
Right?
could do YouTube.
Right.
So I would have the technical ability, and so it's a lot of fun. We work together a lot. We help each other with the technical parts. Like if I
Mhm.
know something they don't, or they, even though I'm probably the more techie one, there's a lot of things I don't know, and Jean will know them. She always says she's not the
That's
techie
good
one,
to
but
know. Yes,
and
Jean is a fabulous go-to person for pretty much
yeah,
anything to do with YouTube.
yes. Sometimes
He's
I'm
helped us
I'm in a
too.
yeah, I'm in a development circle with her and other ladies that were in my class, and some that weren't. There are women all across the globe actually that do this dev circle every Sunday morning, and that's the old-fashioned way. Back in England, they do this sort of thing, but they just read a room, and they all get together, they sit in silence until a spirit comes by and talks and gives a message, and somebody claims it. So we actually are doing a one like that every Sunday
Oh,
morning.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Are
And
you
that's
going to film that? Maybe you should record some.
well, we do film them, but most of the women on there don't want to be on
Right.
YouTube.
Right.
Uh,
I understand that.
you know, they a lot of them are my classmates, and it's funny because they're, you know, they would blow everyone away on YouTube, but they're like, I don't want to be on it. Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
I totally understand that one.
Yeah.
So if I take a break here, what are we? How are we doing story? Is there anything you want me to talk about next?
What
Well,
did
let's
you have
see.
down next?
Some things that had happened, but you've been doing a really good job on how you started and some of the things that told you to go this direction.
Yeah.
So you've
Okay.
done a lot of those.
We
And
can check the chat room and see if they have any questions.
yeah, let's see if there's
Let's
anything
see.
going on in there.
Yeah.
Hi,
Oh, and
Skywalking with Moon and Vivian and wow.
yeah. Dr. Gale's here. She was in
Nice.
my class too. And
Cool.
oh,
Starfish.
Starfish too. A lot of my classmates are in the chat.
Fantastic. Well, nice to
Cool.
meet you, all of her classmates
Yes,
that
it's
we don't
wonderful.
know.
Yeah.
Were you going to do any readings? We could do
No,
some cards or
I wasn't going to,
No?
but no, because I like to hear all about you.
Okay.
And learn
Okay.
who you are and
Okay. Well,
It's a fascinating story and everybody
and instead of having somebody be just a business person, everybody likes to know about who somebody really is
yeah, and how you got there
and how you got there.
Yeah.
Yes, and you've been doing that. That's great.
Oh, good.
and more, maybe a little bit more of how you developed your skills and maybe
Right.
how
And
you
for
developed
you,
yours.
do you see clairvoyant? Do you see the spirits too?
Okay.
Which are your clairs?
So I never always remember all the Claire names,
I
but
know
I
it's
am
impossible.
mostly clairvoyant. So I see
Mhm.
like a movie, and I'm clairsentient. I know. I never remember the right name. I think it's clairalient. I smell
Smell.
things, and I
So
can
does she.
taste things. And
I don't necessarily taste, but I smell.
yeah,
That's
and so I mean, I have a little bit of all of them. The
Yeah, me
Clara,
too.
I'm not super clairaudient, but it's starting to kind of come up more. And that's what I've noticed. If you start practicing one of your senses and start working with it,
Yes.
the others start coming up. And
that's not a surprise. Yeah,
yeah,
because everything else gets.
Stimulated by it, that energy.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
yeah, that's
And
cool.
I think that when I started, you know, I don't have Jean has a deep education in all of this. She just knows so much, and I know so little. And it so sometimes I kind of got confused about how things actually work. And you know, you can start with one of the senses and build it.
Mhm.
And I thought that I I absolutely would have to meditate to build these senses, to build them up. Now, technically, yes. I wanted everybody to know if you want to build your senses and you all have them, you just probably don't know what you got yet, but
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
you do have to meditate. Okay, but now I was not a good meditator because my mind is flying. I mean, I am just so I had the wrong idea about meditation. I thought that you're supposed to sit there and empty your mind and keep trying to empty your mind and just keep it quiet for, you know, like 20 minutes or something. And, you know, that is going to be impossible for me and probably a lot of people. But what happens to me, just in case people are wondering about thinking, oh, I'm doing it wrong, you're probably not doing it wrong.
Nah.
All
I don't
they
think you're
want me to do when I meditate is to just sit still for 2 minutes, okay? Just hold still. Try not to put out a laundry list of everything you got to do today. Just hold still for a second, and then we go somewhere. My meditations are not empty-headed, are not quiet. We transcend time and space. We go and do something, or I
Yeah,
meet
I know that
somebody.
feeling. Yeah, I always thought that was wrong. I'm like, no, because I just automatically, I'm someplace else.
Yeah, and I'm fighting it, trying to stay here, Terry, stay here,
Mm-hmm.
stay here.
Clear mind, clear mind.
Yeah, and
No.
it's like they just want that just for 2 minutes so that somebody can come in and say,
So they can come in
hi.
and say hi. Yeah,
That
exactly.
sounds like it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And so I started with guided meditations on YouTube to try to do that. But even those were
You find
crazy.
yourself someplace else.
Yeah, I was doing a guided meditation of medium Kim Copeland's that it's kind of on the tail end of one of her videos. And it was one about the outdoors. And so I'm doing it. And in my head, I'm sitting on my back porch. And suddenly I become teeny, really small, just teeny tiny. And I start walking through my lawn. And there's this beautiful, those in the grocery store, if you want to buy a nice potted plant for somebody who's sick, there's these beautiful fuchsia colored little, they look like a little raindrop kind of. And I have those growing in my yard because they grow in the Pacific Northwest wild. And I was walking through the yard and I just went over there and I sat on the leaf to get out of the rain, and the other leaves were over me like a little umbrella, and I just sat there and meditated. That was my meditation, sitting on the leaf looking around, and
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
being calm. And
My
then
meditations don't go like that at all.
Well,
well,
I hardly ever do a led meditation, a guided one, but
uh-huh,
that's mostly because I'm pretty well deaf and
uh-huh.
I can't understand a word they say when they get a little bit lower. I think I got the volume right, and then they get lower and lower and lower, and I
uh,
can't hear a thing, so I just go on my own way, you
I
know.
yeah, I usually have to reach out over and put them on pause because I'm on my own journey.
Exactly.
But
Or I've got somebody quacking in my head and I can't listen to it because I can't meditate because somebody's talking to me. It's just like, okay, can't you just wait till I'm done?
No.
well,
No.
so here's the fun part, though. I have found that as I meditate, and medium Kim Copeland taught us this in class. I've taken a couple classes with her and Susan Lin together. I've taken a couple classes with her and Danny Shea. And often when she does a meditation at the end, she says, now thank your guide and put your hands out and ask for a gift.
Mhm.
And she said, they will give you a gift. And they always have every time I've done this. And in fact, I have physically felt the thing come into my hand.
I find
And
that fascinating.
yeah.
I'm
And
going to start doing that.
I have a bunch of gifts, spiritual gifts that, like, I have a little backpack full of gifts that they've given me.
I love that.
And so, just in case you guys are all out there asking for gifts, I have learned the hard way that what you need to do is ask 3 questions when you get a gift. So, the first gift I got was a little jeweled dagger.
Hmm.
And I did ask, like, what does this do? Thank God I asked that because they really have never told me much about this dagger. Um, and they said, you can use this to cut open the dimension to truth. I can cut a dimension open and see the actual truth. So if somebody I'm reading is not being truthful with me, I can use this to cut open the dimension and see the truth. I've never got to do that yet. I one time thought it was the time to use it, and I cut open the dimension, which actually was white leather, and then was kind of looking at their, you know, the spiritual insides a little bit, and I realized, oops, I'm not supposed to be here. And I used the tip of the dagger. It also has like a little laser on it, like lasers the leather back together. Oh my God.
Oops, sorry. My bad. Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in a place like that.
Because I realized, okay, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. It's like the basement, the bargain basement. I'm like,
Right.
oops.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And then I have used it once, probably how it was supposed to be used. We were reading in a group with a bunch of people, and there was a newer psychic medium reading, and a spirit came and was talking to us. And it was just a random spirit, not particularly good or bad, but I saw in my head, I saw I saw them leaning together, and I knew it wasn't the right thing, but without thinking about it, spiritually, I picked up that dagger and sliced them apart. And
Because your
I
higher self knew exactly what to do.
yeah, I
Amazing.
didn't even think it. I didn't think,
Yeah.
should I get out the dagger? You know, nothing. It just happened.
Automatically
Just
did.
automatic.
Yeah.
So you said there's 3 questions you need to ask about each
This
gift.
is the 3 questions. Yes. What does it do?
What is it and what does it do?
What is it? What does it do? Well, actually, it's 4.
Okay.
How do you use it? But the 4th one, or the 3rd one, because the first one you can get 2 of those into the first one. Can you demonstrate this for me?
That's a great one.
You must ask that question. You must ask that question. Because I packed that dagger for months and months before I got to use it. Because I didn't know how
Well,
to
that
use it.
makes
I
sense.
didn't ask the questions.
And exactly, we always forget to ask the questions. We have to
Right.
ask the questions if we want to know the answers. They can't just tell us.
Yeah, we have to ask. That's
We
right.
have to ask. I'm
Yes.
terrible about it too. I
Yeah.
always think, 2 days later, oh, why didn't I ask this or that,
Yep. Yep. So one time I was taking a sailing ship out to the heavens. So it was a meditation.
Mhm.
I was on a sailing ship that could fly. Took me through a wormhole out into this. I think it's like a star nursery or something.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
I was just out there playing around. They did a little retooling on me. And then they put me in the cosmic heart.
Whoa.
And I was in the cosmic heart of the gallery, and I was playing around, bouncing off the glass wall and doing some somersaults because it was fun.
Because it was
And
fun.
then they're like, pay attention, Terry. They're always like, pay attention, Terry. And then they gave me a cape. And the cape, it's kind of it feels like a thick cloth. It's like felted wool. It's a cream color. It has some kind of red and yellow blotches and a little bit of kind of black lines on it. It just looks nice. It appeals to me. And they gave me the cape. And this time I asked all 3 questions.
Yay.
What is it and what does it do? How do you use it? And can you demonstrate?
Show
And
me.
they actually did that. And so what it does is the cape can defeat and get rid of repetitive thoughts. So
Can I
somebody is
borrow that, please?
probably can. I've actually left the cape a few places. It seems like I have an endless supply.
Lovely.
And so when someone has a repetitive thought that they can't get over, and nowadays, they might use medication to try to get this, but it's one of those thoughts that just defeats you a little bit. Like for me, a repetitive thought that I have broken with, not with this cape, but in a different manner, but it is exactly the kind of thought the cape would have done.
Hmm.
is I remember one time cutting hair with my dad. We had one of my beauty shops we had together, and I threw my cape over my customer, and I accidentally had it backwards, and all the little hairs went on him. And my dad got really mad, and he's like, "Damn it! Why do you keep doing that?" And my dad never talked like that, and he turned it around. But every time I cut my husband's hair and I would throw my little cape around him, I would hear my dad being mad like that, and it would just make me feel so small,
Little.
and I couldn't let go of it. But that's the kind of thought, that plagues somebody, that makes them feel small, that they cannot get over, they can't let go.
Mm-hmm.
So what they demonstrated it. They found somebody and threw the cape over him and showed how to use it. But the reality is I don't use this cape on my own. I was in a reading and they took us in time to another place, and they had this lovely paved fire pit. It had this round, it was all round, and a wall, a little place to sit on the wall, and the client I was helping had repetitive thoughts. And so an angel, I think Michael, showed up to say, "This is the time you use the cloak." And so
nice.
So he told me what to do. So he said, "What I want you to do is tell her about this, get her to think about the thought." And he said, "What I want her to do is to imagine a color in front of her." And it was army green. I wanted her to imagine army green. And so I talked her through this, and I said, "Now I want you to take the army green into your body. I want you to fill your whole body with the color army green. You're going to sit there like one of those little plastic army men, army green." And then Michael had me throw the cape around her. And then he took his hand, pushed down on her, and he pushed the green out of her. And I saw it going out of her toes into the fire, just streaming out her toes into the fire, and just pushed it out of her.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I really wish I could have some feedback from her, and if, how long this has helped her. But at the end, that one was one where there was more going on. But at the end, Michael clapped down a glass dome. He invited me out and then clapped down a glass dome on her. And so I kind of had to call in, like, "Are you okay? Can you stay there a while? Keep the cape. Don't worry about it. And are you comfortable?" And she's like, "I feel so comfortable. I feel so blessed. I'm just going to hang out here a while." And then we left. That ended our thing.
That's wonderful.
It was so funny to be invited out, like, "Okay, we're done. Come on.
Another one of those places you didn't need to be anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And
interesting.
Yeah, she probably fell asleep after that, I bet, and just enjoyed herself. But she said, "I feel so safe." And
you would, with that Michael energy around you and that cape.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely story.
Yes.
Yeah. So ask for gifts, because they will give them to you, and they definitely going to be useful. But make sure to ask the questions. Ask the questions, or you're going to hang on to a gift for a long time and not know what to do with it. So
yeah, that makes sense to me.
Right.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Well, is there anything else you want us to know?
There's so much that I could talk about. I don't.
Well, that's good. That's very good.
That's good. Then you can come back and talk some more with us on another show too, because it's fun talking to you.
Yes, love listening to your stories.
I love
fantastic.
And have you listened to the bird song behind you? You have beautiful music behind you. The birds have been singing this entire time.
Yeah, I often do when I do my so how I started this is, they had me make my own channel, but before that, they had me write down all my spiritual dreams and adventures, and that's what I talk about on my channel.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people, like Dr. Gail, she's like, "Hey, that raven there was a crow that was just talking away," and she's like, "He has something to say. I think you better go listen to that again."
That's
That's
cool.
probably true.
That's
That's
cool.
cool. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to ask you about your stage?
Oh, yes. I know you use a stage, but talk how
Oh,
you developed that
okay.
spiritual gift a bit that you use on the stage, how you
Right.
got there.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
one of the techniques that Medium Kim and Susan Lynn taught us was to imagine a stage in front of us. And over time, they helped refine the stage, like, because the stage had like stadium seating, and you use stadium seating so you can kind of tell the relationships, like,
Oh,
grandparents sit
cool.
here,
Yeah,
people sit here, And over
that makes
time,
sense.
my stage has really grown. So I see a kind of a old, I don't know, kind of an oval stage in front of me that kind of wraps around a bit. My sitter is to the left. And I know in Zoom, I'm probably pointing the wrong way. The left. And they're the biggest thing on my stage.
Stage left. It's okay.
Yeah, the closest to me. And the floor of my stage, so I'm not talking about an old stage in a high school or something. It is white quartz. So it's quite a fancy
Energetic.
stage. And it's all white. It's always all white. Behind the sitter or customer, or what, I hate the word sitter, but
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what we're going to call them,
Client.
is client, is my angels. My angel and my spirit guides are right behind them. They're right there at the ready. And then there's a stadium seating, and we have an agreement about like what means what. And then there's a little path to go behind the stadium. I've never had to do that, but Sun Psychic Jean has. She's got to go
Ooh,
behind. And
wow.
then a little area where their spirit guides often stand and talk or do whatever they're going to do. Beside that, the newest thing on the stage is I have a cave there. So I have a cave
Oh,
where the
we
spirit
should all have a cave on the stage.
so that's where the spirit animals hang out. So if they're going to
Cool.
give you a spirit animal, I'm going to see it in the cave and bring it out if you want it. There's sometimes people don't want them. And then right behind that is a really thin little curtain, and behind the curtain is the stage crew. So my great grandfather is back there. He helps me a lot. And then my ancient ancestors are back there, and they don't have they're so old they don't have bodies. They look like a feather or a flame kind of. They're
Yeah,
usually
that's how I see spirit, kind of almost energetic feather type shape.
yeah, they're energetic. They're either flame like or feather
Yeah.
like. They often are kind of lavender at the top to yellow at the bottom, and um, anyway, they hang out there. And sometimes, if I'm reading you, your ancestors hang out there too. It's
Ooh.
not always mine back there. And they just wait to help me. And so on the stage, then, I will, during a personal reading, or sometimes when I'm reading on YouTube, I'll see the stage, and they'll do stuff out there on the stage. The stage used to be pretty fixed, and now I'm reading souls and beings that can be so high powered they can just sweep everything off the stage and put on whatever they want. So
Right.
yeah, so
Sounds like raw.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of entities like that just kind of came in and took over. It was just
well,
wild.
one of the people, they don't have to be they just have to be themselves, I think. But I was reading somebody's dad that I know the person, but I didn't know her dad. And nobody had ever gotten her dad before. And I was thinking,
Oh,
boy, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Because so I saw a spiritual being on the stage and he was pointing up. And so I looked up and there were film strips hanging down. You know, the old fashioned ones with the black edges with the
yeah.
little, and
Mhm.
pretty soon they came together and became like a stained glass window. And
Interesting.
I'm reading her, and this was just a quick reading in a practice. And I'm kind of like, what what am I going to tell her? And I think she could see. I think she's very empathetic. She could like, oh, I can tell Terry's a little bit not sure what she's going to do. And she goes, Terry, keep going. It all makes sense. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay,
yes.
I'm going to keep going. And that was her dad. And he came forth. He kind of gave her a little bit of a message. And then I think he decided he wanted to be comfortable. And he just swept my stage off and he put in couches. He put couch in the middle, couches up above, like tiers. And what he did is he created a viewing room because he was a movie star. He was a
Oh,
movie star. So
right.
he was showing me the evidence in the message. So
Sure.
I didn't have to go get the evidence. It was already there. And that's why she said it all makes sense. Keep going.
Right.
So he was showing me, well, he was a TV star, but he did some movies. But he was showing me her the movies, and
Hmm.
then it became the stained glass window because his father was an Episcopalian minister.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And then
Wow.
he was on the couch sitting in the middle. There were lots of people viewing, but I could see their spirits a little bit, but I could only see a Greek goddess on one couch behind him. And
Hmm.
I'm like, she was kind of reclining. And so anyway, he gave her a message and he said, I just love your show. I mean, not my show, his daughter's show. We watch it all the time. This is an amazing journey you're on. And, gave her more messages.
Beautiful.
And then she noticed I kept saying the other people. And she said, Terry, who's there? And I'm like, I don't know. And I can only now, I can see that there are people there, but I can only see clearly the Greek goddess. And I'm like, well, there's a Greek goddess. And her name's Emily. Emily. I'm not sure. And I kept going. And she just wanted it. That turned out to be her mother, Emily,
Oh, wow.
who
She was a
also
Greek goddess, huh?
she was a TV star. She was very, very elegant. And she was getting ready to come back to reincarnate to come back down, and she was just
Oh,
letting her know. Yeah. So, the
wow.
stage, this back to the stage. The stage is very malleable. Um,
Mhm.
Apparently.
very malleable. When I went to I got to go to a real metaphysical fair and have a booth there. Um, and I'd only since you know December been doing this online. I'd never done it with physical people. Uh,
Mhm.
and let me tell you, this gets way more powerful with physical people in front of you. It was
Yes.
crazy, but boy, that stage was rocking and rolling. I had circuses on my stage, and so one of the readings I did, there was a white circus. So it was all the elephants, all the animals, and some of the performers. They were all white on the stage, but they had like Swedish designs painted on them, like red,
Hmm.
yellow, blue, like vines, like they were tattooed almost. And she
Hmm.
wanted to talk to her husband. She talked to her husband. They're sitting on this whole circus on my stage. Seems like this stage can just accommodate whoever. And they're there. And you know that old saying, not my circus, not my monkeys? They basically said, it's your circus and it's your monkeys.
I love that. Oh
Oh,
my
that's
God.
and she told me later on when she was giving me some feedback, she said, "By the way, my daughter once brought me a T-shirt that said, I am the ringmaster of this shit show." And I'm like, "Yep,
I understand that.
yeah."
You've got some
So,
great stories, lady.
Right. Thank you so
So
yeah.
much
much
for
fun.
sharing.
Thank you so much for sharing them with us.
Yes, it's
Oh,
been
you're
great.
welcome. I got a lot. I just keep racking up more and more.
More and
I,
more.
That's good.
don't you feel like when you're reading somebody, the way that I mean, the veil is so thin, you
Yes.
see so many things. Even though when I'm reading you, I try to look like this, nice.
Mhm.
Inside, I can tell you, I'm looking like, what? I'm just like, what the heck's going on here? Did you see that monkey? you know,
I love
That's
it.
good.
That's
I
hilarious.
love it.
and
Well,
that's also part of trust. We got to trust what we see and say it.
well, you
That's
do.
right.
And I actually think I need to go take some of those classes with Susan Lynn.
Yeah.
She sounds pretty fabulous.
Yeah, I love their classes. They're really affordable. You get a lot of practice because it's mostly practice. I like that. And in a very safe environment. So
Yes,
I feel like I
absolutely.
got to learn this in a very, very safe environment. Jean and I just clicked the second we met each other in class and just like, uh,
That's
so,
obvious.
yeah. And so actually, of all my friends, if once a month, her and I just book a reading together to go on a journey. So we just
Oh,
go
how
on a
fun.
spiritual journey. And she's the only one that actually can see what I see. And we can
Cool.
co-read. I can read, she can. Neither one of us have to drive. We can both drive. It isn't like it's my vision for Jean
Right.
or Jean's vision
Right.
for me. We can co-do it.
Co-create.
Yeah, yeah,
Co-creating.
Because you're talking to each other.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Such a
great.
talent
I
to be
don't
able to
mean
do that
talking
too.
out loud. I mean talking.
Oh, well, we haven't quite mastered that yet, but my guides, do you remember the whale guides?
Oh,
When they
yes.
took me there, they told me I have to master that. I have to master telepathy.
Well, it sounds like you're already doing it. You just don't realize it. The
You're
way
doing
that
it
you and
with
Jean
certain
connect.
people. You're doing it with Jean. Now you just
Yeah,
need to expand it.
yeah. So, but
Yeah,
I'm supposed to master it. I'm
Ooh,
working.
you
I
will.
have faith you will.
You will. You will. Yeah.
Yeah,
We've all been learning so fast and furious. The veil has to be thinning. It's just there's too many of us out here going through all this transition. So
mhm, yeah. We all learn from each other all the
oh
time. I
yes.
Oh
learn from
yes.
you too. I can't wait to learn more from you two. I want to do more about the astral travel and doing it a little bit more deliberately and uh yeah,
We're
yeah.
having fun doing the classes. I call them classes. I don't know why. I guess it's because it's each on a particular subject. But
Mhm.
doing the research for those
Mhm.
shows,
It's
we learned so much. It's like I didn't know that.
a different point of
Mhm.
view from what we knew. And so
Right.
it's always great.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes I think that's why they take me on the journeys to just have me see a different point of view.
A
Me
different
too.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, just see it from a different angle.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's amazing.
It is
Yeah.
amazing. Well, we are well past an hour. And how's everybody doing out there? Everybody good in the chat?
You all sleep.
I hope we haven't put you to sleep, but I
That's
thought it
right.
was fascinating.
Yes. And thank
Oh,
everybody for being here. And thank you, Terry.
oh, you're
It's
welcome.
so great to hear
Yeah.
everything.
I
So
was just looking at the chat and I noticed Carolyn Adams said, ask her about her stage.
yeah,
She did. That's
I did. That's why I
she
asked.
got that.
That one, I can't hardly see them, but I saw that one. I went, okay,
Mhm.
that's it.
I can't really see the stage either. Nope, listening to every word. So everybody's having a good time, it looks like. Awesome
Yes.
stuff. Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you
Thank
all
you
for
guys
staying
so
with us,
much.
and thank you so much, Terry, for being here.
We're going to
You-
have to run. We have dinner plans this evening.
Okay.
And well, we do that. It's like our pod group from the shutdown. We kind of still get
Oh.
together like one Sunday a month, where it used to be pretty much every Sunday because it was the only human contact
Yeah.
for a while.
Exactly.
But now we're doing it like
Whenever
once a
we can
month.
get
So,
it. So.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming, and I hope you'll come back. And
Yes.
everybody, thank you very much.
And lots of love to everybody.
Yes, it's been
Yeah.
a big week.
And if you enjoyed it, please say that you liked it. Or
yeah, please like,
or
subscribe, and all that sort of thing.
share.
That's
So,
right.
Yep. Like,
And everybody have
subscribe, all that.
And have a great weekend. And we will put your details in the chat room or the
Okay. Thank
after
you.
the show. But
Yeah.
we love you, and thank
We
you so
love you.
much. And bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for
so
coming.
much. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye. Have a good dinner.
Thank you.